What's going on, everybody? We are back. It's your favorite podcast, the number one podcast. What I say, aired live on Wednesday nights from the Chad's Media Studios. If y'all been hanging out with us all year, thank you so much. Welcome back. If this is your first time joining us, I'm Tyler Lennon. That is Ryan Humphreys. And if you couldn't tell, no producer recorded tonight. I'm behind the producer chair, but no worries because we have our favorite guest, our favorite viewer, our favorite everything, Poppa T. Poppa T, what's going on, man?
Hey, glad to be here.
Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Which surprising, this is technically his first live on air appearance. He's called in, and obviously we reference Poppa T a lot.
Are you okay with the nickname? I coined
that's
that.
Fine.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
I've been called lots of things. That's fine.
That's not
trust me. That's fine.
Not nearly the worst of them.
No. That's completely fine. I'm honored to be here. I consider myself the number one fan, and so it's awesome.
I feel like Tebbs might have some beef with that. He's told me multiple times.
Fair.
But speaking of, we're going to get a Super Bowl edition of Tailing Tebbs at some point. He's been really good with the last few he's given us. So
Speaking of tailing anything in the gambling world, I read a story today that there's a guy on Reddit that
I saw
has
that
predicted the Super Bowl now 16 years in a row. And he is on an 0 for 15 run.
Incorrectly year.
Picking the Super Bowl champ. So he picked the Chiefs.
He did.
So if you're picking the Chiefs tonight or whenever, maybe
it's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
So back in the day when Sports Illustrated was a really big deal in the 70s and 80s, especially the 80s, maybe 90s, their top writer was Dr. Zimmerman, and he had a streak like that where like 15 or 16 covers in a row he picked the loser of the Super Bowl. So I remember that. But, hey, I'm glad to be here, sporting my greatest quarterback of all time, Roger Staubach.
Yeah, I like that. But, yeah, we are down and out. So I'm excited. It's obviously Super Bowl week. It's our second Super Bowl special.
Second Super Bowl,
And we wanted to have you on the first one, but I think it was like our second or third episode ever.
Yeah.
But we have something very fun we're going to be doing here at some point.
Yeah.
You are our resident Super Bowl trivia expert.
Right.
And we're going to do our version of like Stump the Schwab.
Yeah.
There you go.
Stump Poppa T.
What year was that? That was
Stump the Schwab.
Like when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
It was in the late 90s, probably, early 2000s.
I remember a very young, very nerdy Tyler thought that was like the funnest show ever. We should bring that back. I don't know. I think at one point they were talking about trying to bring it back, but that'd be cool.
Hey, we were on vacation one time, and we wandered into some hotel, and they were doing Jeopardy tryouts. And we begged. We begged my dad. We were like, please try to be on Jeopardy.
Right.
He didn't do it, but if I had to call somebody as my helper on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or Jeopardy or whatever it may be, I would definitely my phone a friend would be
for sure would be your lifeline.
I appreciate that. Well, a lot of people dedicate their lives to helping others and doctors and lawyers and business and I really dedicated my life to the accumulation of massive amounts of useless information.
I will say what makes me really happy is I think the inverse of that is true as well. I think if you were on a Sports Jeopardy and you get to pick one lifeline, you would also pick Ryan.
There's no question.
I appreciate that.
I got to tell you a quick story about Ryan. I was talking about Roger Staubach, and he'll agree with me on this. For years, Ryan and I would sit in the living room on the couch while watching, and he would we would go through our top 10 whatevers of all time. And it's kind of the way I taught him in the history of sports. And we had this one thing, and we'd get to the top 10 quarterbacks every time. And every time I refused to name anyone other than Roger Staubach as number one. And as he got older and he started learning about Brady and Manning, and he's like, Dad, I'm like, Roger Staubach's number one. Still. Yeah.
I will say I was watching PTI the other day, which I don't get to watch it. Like when I was a kid, watched Around the Horn and PTI every single day, but like don't get the time to watch anymore. But they had, they have the on the side, the topics coming up, and Staubach was on there, and me and my dad looked at each other. We were like, oh no, why is Roger Staubach on there? But it was his birthday. Yeah, so that was cool to see.
Yeah.
So talking about greatest quarterbacks ever, we talked about this week maybe. I think last year when Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl, we said, okay, he's a top 5 guy at this point. Yeah. So fast forward a year, and now as we sit, Patrick Mahomes wins this weekend. How high, how comfortable do we feel putting Patrick Mahomes in that conversation?
Poppa T, I want to open the floor to you on that.
Thank you. Well, and I tell Ryan all the time, you younger guys, y'all tend to jump a little quick to the greatest of all time. That's just a natural thing. He's close, man. I mean, people, Staubach, and I was kidding a while ago, but Staubach really only started 9 years in the NFL because he was in the Navy and he got to 4 Super Bowls.
Which is wild that he's accomplished everything he did.
Yeah, he got to 4 Super Bowls and won 2. So Bradshaw, obviously, not as talented, but as obviously successful. I personally, I would put Mahomes, if he wins this one, he's probably right in behind Brady, Montana, Manning, and maybe Elway. He's right there with the arrow pointing up.
Yeah, I think the one person I always accidentally kind of leave out of that conversation, I don't know why, is Joe Montana. And, obviously I'm aware of how good he is, but I think we're even at a point now where, if he wins again, probably goes ahead and passes Marino.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's Brady and Montana at that point.
Well, the consensus pretty much was Montana was the greatest ever until Brady did what he did.
Yeah, I think that you can make a lot of arguments for who is after Brady and Montana.
Yeah.
To me, that's pretty fairly the consensus top two. And I think if Mahomes wins this weekend, you got to have the conversation with him and Montana. I don't think he's to Brady's yet, but the uniqueness in this is 6 for 6 AFC title games. 4 out of 6 of those he's gone to the Super Bowl. This would be his 3rd Super Bowl win. And there's not a long list of 3 times or more Super Bowl winners
that have won 3 Super Bowls or more. Montana, Brady, Bradshaw, and Aikman. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, so
do you, as someone who got to see his entire career, do you ever feel like Aikman gets left out of those conversations a little bit too much?
A little bit. But Troy will tell you. Troy will tell you. To him, it was all about winning, and I know that's a cliche, but their offense was designed around that concept. I'm telling you, I think maybe the greatest game Aikman ever played was an NFC Championship game that we lost 38-28, and basically he had to fling it because we were down 21-0 immediately. Aikman could throw it with the best of, maybe the strongest, most athletic, just that dude's a dude type built body.
Right.
But he wasn't asked to do what the others did.
I think he probably gets a little bit of that second guessing because of how great those rosters were.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not saying that that's anything against him. His rings,
his
that's
rings
all he
speak
cares
for
about.
himself.
But for that same reason is why Mahomes, last year you take away
Tyreek
one of the
Hill.
most unique talents in NFL history in Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
He not only wins the MVP, he wins the Super Bowl. He not only gets back the following year in a Travis Kelce declined year. And just
plug whatever 3 named running back that you have. Just plug that guy in there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I mean, after Travis Kelce, his leading receivers are Marquez Valdes-Scantling,
another 3 names,
Justin Watson,
right? He's
McCole Hardman,
Mahomes is incredible.
Noah Gray,
Kadarius Toney. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, he's incredible.
It's unreal.
He's incredible. And again, the big thing about him is the arrow. The story hadn't been told yet. It's still going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's kind of in the exact opposite. Or I guess at this point, kind of the exact same as Brady. So how many of those years did Brady? I mean, outside the Randy Moss year.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, Brady never. Name legit running backs that Brady had. He had Corey Dillon, who was a legit guy. After that, it's a bunch of guys.
It was literally like an ongoing joke that you would never want a Patriot running back on your fantasy team.
No, absolutely.
That they're just so interchangeable.
Yeah. Brady. Brady's still Brady. I mean, you've been to 10 Super Bowls, man.
Well, it's like you're giving Mahomes. He's kind of doing the at the end of Brady's career, he had the stellar defenses and good quarterback play, great defense. Mahomes, 6 years in, we're already seeing that great quarterback play and a much improved Chiefs defense.
No doubt,
it looks like it's enough. And obviously, we'll see this weekend. But
he's great.
It's really impressive.
He's great, and it's super to watch him.
Sucks about his dad.
Yeah, it does.
He's gonna miss 7 or 8 Super Bowls.
Tell you a quick story.
He's the one person. If that's any other dad, wouldn't it would be like But there's no telling me.
I got a quick story. I got a quick story before we get started on Pat Mahomes' dad. So we were in college, and Pat Mahomes' dad was pitching for the Twins, and I'd never heard of him. He was a rookie. I didn't know him. Well, Rusty Harden, my best friend, grew up in Tyler, and he played with the dad who went to Lindale, and so he played American Legion ball or something. And so we go to the Rangers-Twins game, and it's a funny story between Rusty and I. And Rusty goes, "Hey, man, y'all come out to the Twins bullpen. I want to show you Mahomes." Well, in the lingo of the day, I said, "Man, you ain't got no Holmes in that bullpen." And it was Pat Mahomes.
That's funny.
Talk about letting a good one get away. Lindale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Well,
Patrick Mahomes was
right
not
there.
An Eagle.
So
he was a White House Wild.
Mike Metter has told me that when Patrick Mahomes Jr., when Pat Mahomes is in middle school, he was kind of led to believe and told that he was going to come to Lindale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that would have changed some fortunes.
It's a tough break.
You never got the chance to play against Pat, did you?
He was
He would have been a little bit older than you. So I got to play
time.
against him in like traveling ball and stuff. And then
yeah.
he was in Sulphur Springs District, obviously.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
wild. I do remember his dad. We had kind of like the 15 game a year packages when I was a little kid, and Pat Mahomes was on a couple of those
Yeah.
teams. So I
Yeah.
knew who he was. But
Yeah.
kind of wild to see how that's gone. I do want to talk about, before we get into, because we're going to spend a ton of time on Super Bowl stuff, we had mentioned Belichick. The two people that you and I were like, well, Vrabel and Belichick will for sure absolutely have jobs. And here we are with neither of them having jobs. Where do we stand on that?
I think Belichick probably just sits the year. He's actually, we talked about this, he's actually incredible on TV.
He
does a great, for a guy that's perceived as not very personable,
he's really good.
He's really good on TV. So, and Saban kind of the same way, came out today that he's going to be on game day. My God, please, Lee Corso, retire. I'm begging you.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But anyways, Belichick, I think he probably just takes a little gap year.
Yeah.
Vrabel,
Hard to explain.
maybe
man.
a defensive coordinator somewhere, but I don't know.
Did you see?
That one's crazy to me
I
because
saw it. I know what you're going to say.
because to me he's like a Dan Campbell art
Yeah.
guy. Like, hey, these guys want to play for dudes like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw where
I don't know how quickly you
was
forget things, but
intimidating.
so Diana Rossini, who's like a very credible, very well-respected reporter, said that a GM or an executive had told her wasn't getting interviews or wasn't going to get a job because he was too big, and some people found that to be intimidating.
You might be a little soft if that's
Right,
an issue.
you're better off being built like Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, right.
And you're Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
That's
that's
wild.
why we kept Mike McCarthy.
Exactly. You might be a little soft if that's an issue.
Yeah, no intimidation coming from McCarthy, I don't think.
No.
I will say, you were talking about how good he'd be on TV. I listened to the Lebitard show every day, and they had said that sports agent or sports media agent, an anonymous one, had said that every available company would spend a record amount of money to get Bill Belichick, which does sound wild at first, but like you're saying, him and Saban, and then someone brought up the idea of doing like a Manning cast with Belichick and Saban.
No, that's
That'd
interesting.
Be cool.
It sounds like that would either be really interesting or
Way over anyone normal's head.
Right, a lot of us would even be like, what is
hell are they
happening?
talking
The
about?
first guy I think of that was incredible at that right there was Gary Patterson.
Oh yeah, he did the national championship
It
deals.
was unbelievable, man.
Yeah, he was on the national championship broadcast.
You can tell that's a really smart football guy.
I guess Brady kind of.
He's gonna be the CBS guy next year. Oh, he's gonna
Is that
be-
right?
Yeah.
No, not CBS. Fox. He's
Fox,
taking
I'm sorry,
Greg Olson, who's kind of become
That's-
like
you're right.
That's my favorite. So Kevin
He's
Burkhart's
taking
my favorite
Greg
play-by-play
Olson's
guy.
spot.
on the number one team.
Yes.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Greg Olson, who
It is-
again,
it is Brady.
He's the new Romo. He's the new guy.
No
Everyone
doubt.
loves Greg Olson,
Yeah,
but
no doubt. No
we'll see
doubt.
how Brady does. And I think I've heard reports that Brady might not even want. It's his to pass up, I guess,
right.
and that he might not even quote unquote
Yeah.
want that. But $350 million waiting for him if he does
Isn't
want
that
it.
incredible?
All right. Do we want to make our prop picks, Super Bowl picks, and then go trivia, or do trivia and then make our picks?
Well, what do you think?
Let's
What
go
are we
trivia.
thinking?
Let's do
Trivia?
You want to hop into the trivia? So
here's the rules. Okay. So just to kind of, I guess, make it fair and ensure that we're not giving Schwami over here
Right.
any anything.
Right.
We have a wheel set up of all 57 Super Bowls that have been played this weekend
57?
being 58.
Okay.
So allegedly, and I know he can do it because I wouldn't have brought him on the show if I had any doubts, but allegedly, Mr. Humphreys can name just about any fact of these Super Bowls. And for example, we're talking obviously the winner, both scores, both quarterbacks, what college they went to, the MVP, what college they went to, both head coaches. He can tell us, the significance of that Super Bowl being,
I'm excited for
interesting
this.
story or just anything. So
Yeah.
Without any further ado,
without any
again,
further ado, yeah.
I'm in the producer's chair tonight, so y'all bear with me for just 1 second. Let's make sure I know what I'm doing here. Okay, we got it pulled up. Dope. So like Ryan said, we've got a wheel with all of them. We're just going to spin it. The first one that pops up, let's go ahead and give this first spin. Let's see what Poppa T has to which Super Bowl Poppa T has to tell us about.
I'm a little nervous.
This is the slowest wheel of all time. Oh, you said you were hoping for older ones. We are starting with Super Bowl 7.
Super Bowl 7. Okay, that's a good one.
Remember, you only have like 2 strikes. Then we got to move on.
Hey, brother, I'm Tony Gwynn. I don't need strikes.
Right.
Okay,
Ooh.
I'm Tony Gwynn.
One day we need to have just a Tony Gwynn conversation.
There are no pitches going past me that are in the strike zone. Super Bowl 7.
Super Bowl 7.
Okay, that's the Miami Dolphins against the Washington Redskins, as they were called.
Already on mind. That's wild just to have that off the top as well.
Yeah, it was 14-7.
Low-scoring game.
Dolphins won that one 14-7. Don Shula is the head coach. His first Super Bowl win. He would also win again the next year. George Allen, a Hall of Fame coach, was the Redskins coach. Quarterbacks were Bob Greasy from Purdue,
nice.
Boilermaker, and Billy Kilmer from UCLA. And I'll tell you something funny about Billy Kilmer in a minute. The MVP of that game was Jake Scott from Georgia. The significance of that game was that culminated the only undefeated season in NFL history.
Okay, yeah.
17-0 Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
The big play in that game, the Redskins only scored 7 points. It was off Gary O'Yepremian for the Dolphins was kicking a field goal. There was a bad snap. Ryan Humphreys was not the holder. And there was a bad snap. Gary O'Yepremian picked it up, and as you might imagine as a kicker, did not have a great arm. He was hit. The ball was picked off. The Redskins ran it in for a touchdown. 14-7 was the final in that game.
Okay.
That was that, guys.
That was good.
Let me tell you a quick story about Billy Kilmer. Billy Kilmer was a quarterback from UCLA, went to San Francisco started out as a running back for San Francisco. He was involved in two, and then he went to the Saints. He was involved in two of the most famous plays in NFL history, he was not a quarterback then. One play, playing against the Vikings, he gets hit, he fumbles. Jim Marshall runs 72 yards in the wrong directions for a safety. Very famous play. He was also, when he was in New Orleans, he was the guy, he was a quarterback for New Orleans. He led them down to the 44-yard line. The goalposts are on the end. It was the Jack Dempsey 63-yard field goal play. He was the quarterback in that game.
There you go.
I feel like you could do a complete.
I can do them all.
I think there's a podcast I did here where you go one by one and do like an oral history.
Yeah, I can do them all.
Of every single Super Bowl.
All right, let's have another one.
Okay,
with the Dolphins, I do want to throw in. I always think it's cool every year that Larry Zonka,
champagne,
when all the teams in the NFL have lost, they pour a drink and cheers to the undefeated team.
Yeah, no doubt.
Here we go. You ready for your next
I'm ready.
one? Again, this is the slowest wheel of all time, so I went ahead and
That's a good one to start
trying
with.
to get here. Your next one, a little bit of an older one as well, not quite as old. Super Bowl 19.
Super Bowl 19. That would be the San Francisco 49ers over the Miami Dolphins.
Another Dolphins.
That's another Dolphins.
What are the odds of that?
That would be the last one that they were in, by the way,
Gotcha.
the Dolphins. 38-16 was the final. That was Bill Walsh, Don Shula again. Joe Montana, Notre Dame. Dan Marino, Pittsburgh. Joe Montana was the MVP. The overriding significant thing about that Super Bowl, in my opinion, the greatest combination of head coaches and quarterbacks of all time. Walsh, Shula, Montana,
I would say
Marino.
that would be hard to argue.
that's
you put those
tough
four
to beat.
together collectively, that's probably the top
that's
one.
top five. That's two top five quarterbacks and
Yeah.
probably two top five
Probably
head
two
coaches.
top five coaches as well.
Now the relevance of that one as it relates to today's NFL is Joe Burrow, Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Got to one early, didn't win it. Nobody really worried about it. He's gonna roll.
You think to yourself,
never
well,
got
I
back.
mean, it'd be
I don't
fine.
know
They'll
if
win
that's
one.
the case, but it's a possible
Something
reference.
we said literally, or I said on this show 1 year ago, is think about how often that happens. And as a Joe Burrow fan,
Jalen
just because
Hurts.
he got there that early does not mean, unfortunately, that he's going to get there again. So hopefully that is not the case. But
Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of examples.
And Marino, I'm telling you guys, we were talking about quarterbacks a while ago. Marino was special, man. Marino, quickest release of all time, still to today. That dude was. He looked like quarterback when he walked down the aisle. That dude was a guy.
You ready for another one?
Let's do it.
For another
All right, here we go. Our third spin of the wheel. Did we ever say how many of these we were doing, by the way?
We do 8 to 10. We'll
All
see
right,
where
I
we're
like
at
that.
time wise.
Whatever y'all like. Whatever's entertaining.
Does this thing spin forever? Here we go. Okay, this is our oldest one yet. You're looking at Super Bowl 6.
Oh, my gosh. It's going to take the rest of the show, boys. Super Bowl 6, the first world championship for my Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
24-3. Cowboys over the Dolphins again.
Wow. What is happening?
3 in a row for the Dolphins.
So they've been to 4 Super Bowls?
No, been to 5.
5, okay.
Been to 5.
And we've done
and we've done 3 of them. Yeah. So the Cowboys.
This is not a Dolphins page.
Cowboys
might be.
24-3. It's one of only 2 Super Bowls where a team scored 3 points. The other one, which anybody want to guess what the other one was?
Patriots Rams.
Patriots Rams, just in Super Bowl 53. It's 24-3. The Cowboys.
A little bit's rubbed off on me. On the history.
Yeah. Tom Landry, Don Shula. Also great coaches, obviously Hall of Fame coaches. Roger Staubach, in his first year as a full-time starter, beat Bob Greasy. Roger, obviously from the Navy. Bob Greasy, Purdue. Roger Staubach was the MVP. The greatest play in that game that still stands today as a record, there was a 29-yard sack in that game. Anybody want to guess who that was?
Too Tall Jones?
No, but little pre-Too Tall. Bob Lilly.
Okay.
Bob Lilly had a
nice.
29-yard sack. The Cowboys finally got over next year's champion. Couldn't win it, and they finally got over the hump to get that one. Dwayne Thomas was the running back that year and just had an incredibly great year. Staubach was phenomenal. Staubach and Craig Morton alternated for the first few games. When I say alternated, snaps.
Oh, wow.
For the first few games of that season.
Seems to be maybe hard to get in a rhythm.
That seems
there.
tough, yeah.
Not all of Landry's decisions were great. Most were, but he started and Roger won the last 10 in a row, and they finished out.
I would definitely see Landry as a guy, hey, this is what we're doing.
And we're doing it.
We're doing it.
I don't care.
A little note about Tom Landry.
This is cool.
That I don't think most people know. Tom Landry was the head coach, was the offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator.
Say that again?
Tom Landry was the head coach,
Oh, wow.
the offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator.
Talk about just having complete full control.
Just playing Madden. No, I'm making all the choices.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm picking everything here.
Yeah.
I
Think
love
we
it.
should do that with Mike McCarthy.
No, let's do not do that. Yeah.
All right, let's get you a
it's going
number
good?
one.
We're doing good
This
here?
is great.
Number
All right.
4.
Hey, Corey just asked, wasn't Bob Lilly the first round pick by the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, out of TCU, out of Throckmorton, Texas.
Sweet.
Look at Corey
Look
on
at
the
Corey
trivia.
throwing in some good
correct.
knowledge.
That's correct. He's Mr. Cowboy for a reason.
I love it.
When you said that, I
No,
thought
not
you
Corey.
meant Corey.
Not Corey. Bob Lilly, not Corey.
Okay, our next.
Wait a minute. Here's another thing. Has Bob Lilly and Corey ever been mentioned in the same sentence?
Nah, that's got to be the first time.
Yeah.
We've got.
Hey, Bob Lilly's son,
Yeah.
Bob Lilly Jr., follows me on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
Saying.
Really?
Interesting.
I don't know why, but he does.
We have our newest, or our most recent one so far, I believe, Super Bowl 35.
Super Bowl 35, one of my least favorite Super Bowls. I don't know why. I know one reason why, but that was I would say, just as we had 19, the greatest collection of the 4 head coaches, quarterbacks.
It's the worst.
I would say 35 is the worst. 35 was the Ravens and the Giants. The final score was 34-7. The MVP was Ray Lewis from Miami. The quarterbacks were Trent Dilfer, Fresno State.
Yep.
Okay, and Kerry Collins, Penn State. The MVP again was Ray Lewis. But the head coaches, Brian Billick, great defensive coordinator from Minnesota, really had the one big year at Baltimore. That was it. Jim Fossil, who was terrible. The quarterbacks, Kerry Collins and Trent Dilfer.
So that's the thing. We always talk about like the Trent Dilfer Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I've never heard the fact that Kerry Collins was who he was going
Kerry
up against.
Collins, he was
The
playing
way a
against.
Trent Dilfer can win the Super Bowl is going up against Kerry Collins.
Yeah, so I would say of the 4, that's the worst 4. Not again, they're NFL players, but that's the worst 4.
I will say at one time people thought very highly of Billick, but to me, and it might just be like a timing thing, I think of him and Bill Cowher as very similar. They were very good when I was young,
that's actually
retired
really
kind of
good.
early. Everyone thought they were going to come back at some point.
But I always put a deal. There's a reason why he never got another job. Maybe you and I don't realize, but there's some reason.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so again, good coach, great defensive coordinator at Minnesota years before that. But those weren't. None of those 4 are going in the Hall of Fame.
Tyler, what do you consider your personal first Super Bowl?
The Rams and the Patriots.
Okay.
It's the first one that I vividly remember. Yes.
36.
So this is one before. So mine was 40.
No, not 36.
30. I think
36.
Yeah.
Rams, Patriots. Yeah.
Okay, so mine was 40. The Steelers and the Seahawks is what I consider my first Super Bowl.
I remember what would have been one of your first ones that you remember. I actually watched it at your house. It was Patriots Giants. Yeah.
42 or 46.
Is that what year that was?
The Tyree catch one.
42.
Yeah.
I don't know why I vividly remember watching that over at your house, but yeah, you'd have been really young at the time.
My first one that I remember was 10. Yeah.
10. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for another one?
Let's do it. This is fun.
which would fit into our 30 years apart.
Everything that happens in Ryan and I's last 30 years. Every time.
30-year differences.
Yeah. Although I did not win a college national championship 30 years before him.
Oh, wait, we haven't even – did we already do 6?
Yes, we did 6.
What are the odds of that popping up again?
Yeah.
So let's
get away from the Dolphins.
Give it a respin.
1 out of 57 would be the odds.
Good call.
Good
call. All right, we're giving it another spin. I need to speed up the – here we go. Now we're getting more recent again. Super Bowl 40 is your next one.
Super Bowl 40. That was
Seahawks Steelers.
There you go. That's his first one. Yeah. Super Bowl 40. The final was 21-10. That was Bill Cowher's. He had lost the Super Bowl to the great Barry Switzer in Super Bowl 30, and came back in Super Bowl 40 to get a win. It was his right at the end of his career. Mike Tomlin came right after that. But it was Big Ben's
rookie year.
Maybe rookie year, yeah.
I think so.
And from Miami of Ohio, and he played against Matt Hasselbeck of Boston College. The MVP of that game was Hines Ward from Georgia. Yeah. The significance of that game that I always remember, it was Jerome Bettis' last game.
Yeah.
And Jerome Bettis grew up and was from Detroit. And the Super Bowl was played in Detroit.
Nice.
And that was his last game. And so Hines Ward had a big game.
Why would they have a Super Bowl in Detroit?
Yeah.
Because they were never going to have one as
the closest thing the Lions would ever get.
Right. Who do we know won't be in it, won't have home field advantage?
Right. That's a good point.
I will say I grew up loving Jerome Bettis. And I think
Bus was a dude, man.
Yeah. And I think something we don't talk about enough, we were talking about Bill Cowher a second ago. For Steeler fans to get Cowher followed by Tomlin, that's pretty lucky.
Well, let me add to that. They had Chuck Noll before Cowher. Who won 4
They've
Super
had just
Bowls.
some great luck with head coaches.
Yeah.
So
and
my
the
first
Rooney family, obviously stable.
Here's my Jerome Bettis throw in. My very first organized football year, I was number 36.
That's correct.
It's like upwards, so whatever. So I was quarterback, running back, number 36 in the Jerome Bettis days.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That was your first number?
That was my first number.
Nice.
36. Yeah. I look like Jim Thorpe running around with an ugly number or something.
92.
Yeah, black and white.
So you are obviously 4 for 4 so far.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we don't know.
We don't know that.
He could just be throwing these scores out there. I'm not checking
I got to be
anything.
honest with you guys. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
We haven't done Super Bowl 4 yet, have we?
No.
Okay, Super Bowl 4.
One?
Yes.
Super Bowl 4. Brady, that's another good
you
one.
said you wanted the old ones. We're going way back.
We're bringing it.
Super Bowl 4, the final score of that ball game was 23-7. That was the Chiefs and the Vikings. Chiefs had gone and lost the Super Bowl 1. The Vikings, this was the first of 4 losses for them in 7 years.
Yeah.
But it was Hank Stram and it was Bud Grant. The quarterbacks were Lynn Dawson from Purdue, and another great story I can tell you about. Joe Kapp was the quarterback. He was from Cal. The MVP of that Super Bowl was Lynn Dawson. The most significant thing that I remember about that Super Bowl, again, 23-7, go look at some pictures or film of that Super Bowl. It's played in a mud pit.
Really?
It was in Tulane Stadium, which at the time was obviously a grass outdoor deal. It's a mud pit, and all the pictures, everybody's covered in mud and all that stuff. But the overriding thing in that Super Bowl is the greatest name of any play in Super Bowl history. Hank Stram was mic'd up for NFL Films, and he kept saying the whole game. He kept saying, "We're matriculating down the field, matriculating down the field." Maybe a made-up word, I don't know, but he made it famous. But the
Pretty
play,
sure it is.
Yeah, but the play that he called, and he said it over and over and over on NFL Films that scored a touchdown. And this used to be one of my fantasy team names because I love it so
Can I say it to make sure that
he knows it. He knows it.
Growing up, I always heard about 65 toss power trap.
Yeah. And so Ryan and I, we'd be in the backyard, and I started running a 65 toss power trap, and we would run that play, and because it was Hank Stram made it famous in Super Bowl 4.
I like the idea of like an 8-year-old Ryan having that.
Toss power trap. I'm pretty sure the number 36 flag football team that I'm talking about.
It was on
we
the band.
had 65 toss power trap.
It was on the band. 65 toss power trap. Another thing about that game that's memorable, it's the last game of the AFL. They completely merged the next year. Joe Kapp was the quarterback for the Vikings. He went on to return as a head coach at Cal, University of California.
Mm-hmm.
He was the head coach in the game.
In the band on the field game?
In the band's on the field
no
game.
way.
Wow.
He was the Cal head coach.
Wow.
I'm loving this trivia.
Yeah.
There was one thing I wanted to mention. I wasn't sure how we were going to do the trivia, and if there was any we needed to provide. I was going to ask you if you could name the one team who has led in 4 Super Bowls but has never won, and that would be the Vikings.
Yeah. Vikings. Vikings were always, Fran Tarkenton came. He was the quarterback of the last 3 of theirs, and that dude was incredible, man. And they had great defense, purple people eaters.
Yeah.
But you're playing some of the greatest teams of all. You're playing the Steelers and the Dolphins and the Raiders of that era. They just didn't get it done.
I've got a fun one for you. Our next one is Super Bowl I.
Super Bowl I. Okay, man, that is
the Silver Springs Wildcat in the Super Bowl.
that is correct.
Oh, yeah.
Forrest Gregg,
Nice.
SMU, Silver Springs Wildcat. That's Vince Lombardi and Hank Stram again. That's the Packers over the Chiefs, 35-10. That was played in the L.A. Coliseum. Obviously, it was not called the Super Bowl at that moment. It was the NFL AFL Championship. Not sold out. You look at the pictures and the video of that game. There's 100,000 empty seats in that game.
Wow.
But that game was huge because Vince Lombardi, and he stated this, he felt like he was playing. The Packers were playing for the legitimacy of the NFL at that time. They were really worried, the AFL, because they were doing some fun things with a passing game and going for 2, and he felt like the NFL needed to win that game. The greatest story about that game is a guy by the name of Max McGee from White Oak, Texas. Okay, Max McGee was at the end of his career. He would play one more year. He had no chance of playing in Super Bowl I, okay? He goes out the night before in L.A. and gets absolutely tanked. Gets drunk. He'll tell you.
He's just excited.
He got excited. I'm not going to play. I'm just going to get drunk. And so he's bad hungover on the sideline before the game. He's throwing up. Doesn't know if he can suit up. He's out there. He has no chance to play. God. About the 3rd or 4th play of the game, the starter named Boyd Dowler breaks his shoulder, gets hurt. Carries him. He's a tight end, inside receiver. Gets hurt, carries off. Max McGee's like, I'm not playing this. Anyway, long story short, he ends up going in and plays, has a huge game, scores the first touchdown in Super Bowl history. And if you ever see the play, the ball's thrown way behind him. He kind of tips it back and catches it, 35-yard touchdown, I think. And so, great story, Max McGee.
The first touchdown in Super Bowl history. That's
McGee.
pretty cool.
White Oak, Texas.
From White Oak, Texas. That's pretty cool.
That's correct.
To have that, and then obviously Forrest Gregg in it. That's
Forrest Gregg,
some East Texas connections in the first ever.
Yeah, so Forrest Gregg was, he was Super Bowl I, Super Bowl II. He played on the Cowboys in Super Bowl VI. It wasn't a starter at that point. At the end of his career, played the Cowboys, and then he coached in Super Bowl XVI.
Yeah.
Proud of Miller Grove, Texas.
That's right.
That's pretty crazy.
The disappointing fun fact, or I guess just thought about that Super Bowl, is that if the Cowboys win the NFC Championship,
the first two,
if they win that,
it's going to be the Landry Trophy.
It's going to be the Landry Trophy, not the Lombardi Trophy.
Oh, dang. I had never thought about that.
So the Cowboys lost to the Packers in the NFL Championship.
So it was the NFL Championship, sorry.
It's called the NFL Championship in Super Bowl I. We lost it at Cotton Bowl. Don Meredith throws an interception right at the end of the game in the end zone. NFL Championship prior to Super Bowl II was the Ice Bowl.
The Ice Bowl.
Yeah.
So, it's called the Landry Trophy instead of the Lombardi Trophy.
That would have been really cool.
Yes.
All right, let's get you another one in here. Sorry, I should have had this spinning already, but here we go. We got another one. Let's get a couple more in.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's also people are texting in how cool this is. So,
really? I was going to say, is it entertaining?
Tabs text me is like, dude, this is awesome. Did we do 16 already?
No, we did not do 16.
Super Bowl 16.
Super Bowl 16. That's the 49ers and the Bengals, the first of 2 49er-Bengal matchups. That's Bill Walsh. The final score was 26-21. That's Bill Walsh and the great Forrest Gregg, as we mentioned before. Yeah, there's a lot of
These are not planned.
No.
A lot of symmetry.
I mean, people could see it. I'm showing them the wheel.
Joe Montana, Notre Dame. Ken Anderson, he holds the title of the smallest college guy, a Super Bowl quarterback.
Oh, can I see if I remember?
I think you probably do. We've talked about it.
Augustana
College.
Wow.
I got it, baby.
NAIA, little bitty school, but Ken
That's
Anderson,
cool.
great. He ended up being a great quarterback.
Good for him.
Yeah.
26-21, the significance of that Super Bowl. Let me think. So it's played. Believe it or not, you're gonna really think we're cheating when I tell you this. Also played in Detroit. Yes.
We said there's been 2 Super Bowls in Detroit, and we've now covered both of them.
Yeah, and so that week there was a massive ice storm in Detroit. Lots of trouble of people getting there. Not a real memorable Super Bowl other than there was an incredible play that you can see on NFL film. It was a guy named Dan Buns or Dave Buns for San Francisco makes a goal line tackle on the inch-yard line that knocks the beam. Great NFL films shot, but that's Super Bowl 16.
It's odd that we've gotten 2 in Detroit already. Dude, if you went back even like a decade ago, what percent chance would you have thought a Super Bowl would ever be played in Las Vegas?
Oh, no
That's
doubt.
Wild.
No, yeah. For years, I always thought they'd never touch Vegas just because of the gambling aspect,
Right.
you know.
All right, here we go. Let's get you another one in here. I want, just for fun, like a more recent one. I feel like we were getting a ton of older ones, but you're also telling us stuff about the older ones that I would never know. So, okay, there you go. Asking you shall receive. You've got Super Bowl 48.
Super Bowl 48.
Are we finally going to stump him?
He probably knows these least because it's just like
Yeah, they're not as ingrained.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know Super Bowl 48. That was the Seahawks and the Broncos 40.
Oh, yeah.
terrible
40
Super Bowl.
LOB.
Just a total tail whipping, you know. So what was the final? 43-8? Is that,
was
is that
bad.
the final? Yeah, I think it's
It was
43-8.
bad.
Was it really that bad? I remembered it was
yeah.
bad, but
You
not
remember?
that
You
bad.
remember the first snap
That's
of the
gonna
game?
say the first snap of the game went over Peyton Manning's head for a safety.
I did not remember that.
But the coaches of that game,
Rough.
What a way to start the game.
Pete Carroll was the coach, and John Fox was the coach.
yep.
I forgot about John Fox.
Yeah.
Forgot he existed.
Yeah, and then, of course, Russell Wilson, Wisconsin, and North Carolina State, right? Is that
Yep.
right? Yeah. And then Peyton Manning, Tennessee. The MVP of that game is an unknown guy. Didn't hear of him before. Hadn't heard of him since. His name was Malcolm Smith from USC. But yeah, not a
I
great
didn't
Super
remember
tell
Bowl.
ya.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, not a great Super Bowl.
No.
No.
What position did he play?
Linebacker.
Okay.
Did he turnover?
Yeah,
maybe?
probably.
Yeah.
Probably made some plays. Yeah. Not Russell Wilson didn't
How
have to do
many?
much.
How many? I'm gonna go off the wheel here. How many defensive Super Bowl MVPs have we had?
I can tell you that. Let's see. There's been 30. I think there's 32 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 8 receivers. I think it's correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Defensive. Okay, let me do this real quick. This is fun.
Yeah.
Defensive linemen. Let's do that real quick.
Okay.
2 Dallas Cowboys right off the bat. Harvey Martin from East Texas State University, go Lions.
Nice.
And Randy White.
Okay.
Another defensive lineman. Let's see. Richard Dent played for Chicago. Super Bowl 20 was Tennessee State. And then linebackers, also a Cowboy, Chuck Howley, Ray Lewis, Malcolm Smith. I may think about missing.
Do you have it pulled up over there?
I may be missing one. I'll come back to that. DBs were Larry Brown, TCU, Cowboys.
Okay.
Who am I missing? Dexter Jackson from Florida State, played Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was the MVP, was the DB.
So what's your number?
Defensive guys?
Yeah.
And we're not counting Desmond Howard, who was a special teams guy.
No, unless this is, but I'm not. I
would go 3, 4. I would go 10.
10 is the correct.
Yeah, I think it's 3-4-3. Three.
That is awesome.
10 is spot on.
3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 3 DBs.
10 is spot on.
Now I will
is
say one of them absolutely jobbed. If you go watch I was there. I was at this game in Georgia, Super Bowl 28. Go watch that game and tell me James Washington, DB, is not the MVP of that game. They gave it to Emmett, who was fine, but James Washington should have been another one.
Also, I forgot to tell everyone, obviously, you see the number on your screen. Text your name, anything you want to talk about. Also, either there or in the comments, let us know if you have any other trivia. We're going to do just a couple more with Poppa T. We've got some other stuff we need to get to. But if there's any trivia questions you want to throw at Poppa T, let us know either at the number or in the comments. Let's get you another one real quick.
And I've got 2 stories I want to tell Super Bowl.
Okay.
Also, did we tell people we've got a big thing we're doing here in a minute?
It was mentioned in a tweet, but we can go over it.
We're getting close to finally revealing Tiger Shawdowclaw.
Yep.
All right, Super Bowl 50. Have we
Hopefully.
done 50 yet?
50? No.
Super Bowl
I didn't think
50,
so.
24-10.
I can tell you a lot about this one.
Yeah, Super Bowl 50 is 24-10. That was the Broncos over the Panthers.
Yep.
And that was Gary Kubiak, who was the head coach, Texas A&M quarterback. Panthers quarterback coach was Ron Rivera. Peyton Manning, of course, Tennessee. Cam Newton, Auburn. The MVP
And Blinn.
and
Florida.
right? and
Florida,
Florida,
yeah.
right? And the MVP of that game was Von Miller.
Yep.
Nice.
A&M. Now the thing that jumps out about that game that we first think of Super Bowl 50, and people kind of forgot this. Do you remember, Ryan? Do you guys remember the Cam Newton controversy in that game?
No, I mean I remember the Panthers were 15-1 randomly.
15-1, that's correct.
Greg Olsen, Luke Kuechly, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams. You had a good group.
Not in the
no,
game, but I do
don't.
remember afterwards. I remember his press conference, and
Yeah.
people made a big deal about that.
So if you go back and watch it, towards the end of the game, maybe 4-6 minutes left.
Oh, wait. On the fumble.
The fumble. Go watch the tape.
0 effort to get the ball.
Oh, really?
He goes back, and it gets taken out of his hand like that, and the ball's right there. He's just standing straight up and down, never moves. And basically, he made a business decision not to get clocked to go get that football. Not a good look. Not a good look.
You know, he's another one that obviously got to a Super Bowl. It's still fairly early in his career.
He never went back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
It does happen. I mean, it happens.
And I'll say
he's
this.
one of the best, that we've got to see in our lifetime, just as far as just talent goes. I
Yeah.
mean, Cam Newton's one of the better ones we've gotten to see.
I'll say this about Cam Newton. He was the victim. He was victimized a little bit like the Shaq syndrome. He was so big.
Uh-huh.
He
They
got
didn't
There
give
was
him the
so
same
many
treatment.
calls he never
got
got.
the
Yeah.
heck beat out of him, and they didn't call it.
It cost him 5 good
Yeah.
years.
And the
on
weird
his
thing
career.
about that, we didn't, I don't think, acknowledge it at the time, but as soon as he started to decline a little bit, we all immediately were like, well,
Dude,
look the way he's been treated his whole
did not,
career.
He did not get the same calls
Where-
that Peyton Manning got.
Whereas now, and I'm not saying Josh Allen gets every call, but he gets some calls.
Yeah, he got.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully they've kind of learned from that.
Yeah.
and
But
hopefully
it was
he,
almost like the Shaq deal. Well, he's so big, he can take it, and that's really not fair.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Poppa T, let's get you at least one more in
One
here real
more?
quick.
All right.
And then I do want to hear the 2 stories that
Yeah,
you
I got 2
had.
great stories.
We've also got to make our prop pick. We got time.
Yeah.
We're good.
Also, we don't have to get out of here at any
Yeah,
certain time.
this
All
is
right.
our show.
The final one, Super Bowl 28.
Oh, another great one. Thank you for that one. I was in attendance of this Super Bowl.
Oh, what are the odds? This is wild.
I was.
Okay, here we
We
go.
won Super Bowl and we freaking.
And that was the one?
I was in attendance of this Super Bowl. So a great story about that. The Cowboys beat the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Tickets are going on sale that Monday for season ticket holders. I'm not a season ticket holder at the time, and so I send my wife over there like any good aspiring young working husband would do. She goes over there, stands in line. I tell her just pay whatever. I don't care. I'll borrow something.
That woman's a saint, by the way.
Yeah,
we gotta let
so
me know.
long story short, we get tickets. We're leaving on Thursday of that week. There was no week in between in that year for some reason. We find out on Tuesday that Deidre is pregnant with our daughter.
Oh,
Lauren.
wow.
So 2 days before we
Big week.
Two days before we set out for the Super Bowl, and I thought I had no money when I started, and then I found out I'm fixing to have a daughter. So, but that Super
really
Bowl
had no money.
Yeah, that Super Bowl, man, 30-13. The great Jimmy Johnson over the great Marv Levy, Troy Aikman, UCLA, Jim Kelly, Miami. The MVP was Emmitt Smith, Florida. Should have been James Washington, UCLA. But the interesting thing about that Super Bowl, at halftime, Cowboys are down 13-6. Okay, and again, this is Buffalo's 4th of their 4. This is the 4th one.
Sucks, by the way.
Yeah, I've
God,
never.
it sucks.
It's the only time that I can ever remember in my sports life a team is up 13-6, and I was right beside where the Bills went in their locker room. They're ahead 13-6 at halftime, and the look on their face is, we're fixing to get killed.
Yeah.
And they knew. It was really weird. You got the lead, and you kind of sensed they knew we have no chance.
It's funny you mentioned that because I don't remember if it was just on Twitter or one of those type of things or a TikTok or something, but I saw one of the players that was in that game. Don't remember who it was, but it was a Cowboy, and they mentioned the same thing. They're like, even at the half, we were like, nah.
You could tell. You could tell it's like, oh, and the Cowboys come out the second half, and I don't know the exact number, but we run the same play 7 plays in a row to Emmitt.
Wow.
And they're not stopping it. I mean, we just go right down the field, and that was historically that was Jimmy Johnson's last game.
I believe that was also the one where it became a big deal. Jimmy Johnson did not want anyone around practice with cameras because that week.
So yes,
Jim Kelly. They had got Jim Kelly just on like a news broadcast.
Great point.
And
it was a shuffle
pass.
So they were. It was.
Was that same Super Bowl?
Yeah, they call it the B row where local news stations just running stuff just to fill gaps and stuff. And Jimmy Johnson noticed they're doing this deal, and so he got with. Butch Davis or Dave Wannstedt at the time and says, okay, go back and look at every Bills game. Go on the day. Have they run the shuffle?
Never ran it.
Have they run it all year? They had not run the play one time all
wild.
year.
Wow.
And we ended up getting, I think, two fumbles. Two fumbles off that play because we just popped them right
That's
when
a
he
bad
got it.
mistake.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
But hey,
Yeah.
but doing your job as a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes we like get carried, or not get carried away, but sometimes I think I'm guilty of being like, all right, we're doing a lot here. Like, it's not that big a deal, but like, nah, that's a.
Oh yeah, you got to
That's
do
a
a lot of
big deal.
disguising. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the two greatest stories in Super Bowl that I love that I always going to tell. The best was, or one of them, Super Bowl 10, Cowboys Steelers. Cowboys lose 21-17. Cowboys have a guy named Percy Howard that played college basketball. Did not play college football. Played college basketball at Austin Peay, who has the greatest chant in college history.
Let's go Peay.
Let's go Peay. Played at Austin Peay, but the Cowboys back then were really known for going to get basketball guys and track guys and all that stuff. And so they go get this Percy Howard late-round pick. Did not play all year. Was on the practice squad or whatever. Didn't play. So going into Super Bowl 10, the starter ahead of them was a guy named Golden Richards. Golden Richards, back then in the NFL, there were no rules. Defensive backs could just maul the receiver when they came off the line, just absolutely destroy him, okay? Pittsburgh Steelers had a dude, I'll get to his name in a minute, that was the greatest destroyer of them all. So Golden Richards gets hurt in the Super Bowl. Percy Howard comes in. He has no catches in his NFL career, okay, none. He runs the first play. He goes back and tells Roger Staubach, he goes, hey, Roger. And Roger wasn't even sure the guy's name. He goes, hey, Roger, I can beat this sucker against me. And Roger tells a story, and he looks out there, and the guy he's going against is Mel Blount. Okay, he's one of the 3 or 4 best of all time. And Roger kind of laughs. He goes back to the huddle, and he goes, Roger, I'm telling you, I can beat this dude. The next play, Roger throws a 35-yard touchdown to Percy Howard. It's the only catch in Percy Howard's career.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
35-yard touchdown in Super Bowl 10.
Nice.
Yeah, he's from Austin Peay. So the second great story is, it's not a family show. It's a family show. I can tell the story. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I trust your judgment.
Semi-family.
No, it's. I promise it's not bad. So I love a story. Super Bowl. Super Bowl. Let me think. 33. It's the Broncos and the Falcons. Okay. This is why I get up early on Super Bowl Sunday every morning, because I'm ready for a story like this. Hoping it doesn't happen, but knowing it might, especially might happen in Vegas this year. Super Bowl 33. Eugene Robinson played for the Falcons. The day before the Super Bowl had been given the Bart Starr Award, which was just like the Peyton, the Walter Payton Award, Man of the Year, great for the community, great role model, does a lot for the community. He had been given that the day before the Super Bowl. Super Bowl night, the night before the Super Bowl, he gets arrested for solicitation of a prostitute. So that's within hours of winning that award. Mm-hmm. And then he commences to go out, and Rod Smith of the Broncos tortures him for an 80-yard touchdown right off the bat.
So Bomani Jones, one of my favorite people in sports media ever, was a big Falcons fan for a long time, and he always brings up that story.
Eugene Robinson. Yeah. So, and I think Eugene Robinson went on to change his life, be a great guy and everything. But it's always, when I get up on Super Bowl Sunday morning, I'm like, okay, man. Hope nobody messed up.
Unfortunately, this
one Vegas one could be trouble.
This is not the place for that, for sure.
No,
it definitely could happen.
Before we move on to anything else, Tebs wanted to know, we obviously know this, but Tebs wanted to know if you have a Texas Longhorn allegiance.
Oh, absolutely.
Huge Longhorn allegiance.
Yes, absolutely. Lifetime, 54 years of Texas Longhorn allegiance.
On another episode, we need you to just do Longhorn
I can
trivia.
do the same thing for Longhorn
Okay,
trivia.
I am going to ask one more question, and then we can make our picks for this weekend. Individually, what do we think is the greatest play in Super Bowl history?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
That's a great question.
I think there's probably lots of great answers here.
The greatest
The
plays.
Tyreek catch comes to
Tyreek's
mind.
big.
Yeah.
That one's so unique because Tyreek's almost like a Percy Howard. Never did anything else. I mean, that was a phenomenal play.
I think the Santonio
Man.
Holmes
I was going to say
catch is
Santonio
good.
Holmes was my next pick.
In that same game,
James Harrison,
96-yard return off an interception.
I think not the play itself, but just how unbelievably unlikely it was. The Patriots interception on the 2.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's another good
Butler.
one.
Unreal.
Malcolm
Butler.
Butler.
Ended up getting paid off of that.
It's unreal.
Yeah,
that happened.
There's a lot of good ones. That's a tough question. Lynn Swann had a Super Bowl 10, had an incredible catch. That's probably the greatest catch until the Tyree catch.
Obviously, there's lots of great plays.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, that's tough, man. Yeah. The tackle, the Rams Titans, the tackle of Kevin Dyson on the 3-yard line.
Yeah,
significant.
Yeah.
Also, before we get into all of our prop picks and stuff, again in the comments, wherever, play along. We're going to do telling Teds. If anyone else wants to call in tonight at some point, obviously we have the big Tiger Shawdowclaw thing, but we do have time for some stuff. Do you want to go ahead and get into the prop picks?
Let's make our picks.
Okay, Ryan, these were yours, so I'll let you open the floor if you would like to.
So we're making a couple different prop picks tonight, some directly related to the game, some more just, what you bet on when you bet on the Super Bowl. But first one, National Anthem, sung by Reba McEntire.
Who is a single mom who works too hard. She loves her kids and never stops.
Yep. National Anthem over under 90.5 seconds. A minute and a half and some change.
Man,
We'll start with you.
Okay, I'll just jump out there. Country. It's gonna be a little bit longer. You got a little bit of the twang and the stretching out, and obviously Reba knows how to maximize her spotlight time. I will go over.
Okay.
Here's your one chance, Reba. Don't let me down. Give me the over as well. I think this is her chance to flex on us a little bit. I think she still got it. I'm going to take the over as well.
So my knee-jerk reaction is it's probably going to be her last time in this spotlight.
Yeah, probably.
She's getting older. Yeah. So does she really want to,
She does have a new show coming out, though, a new Reba.
But with all that being said.
Did you reference Fancy? I did. Don't let me down. That's
I did,
nice.
yeah.
With all that being said, I'm banking on the lines maker or the odds maker, whatever you want to call it. He's thinking country singer. She's older. She's going to want to be in the limelight. Yeah. Let's set it too high.
Could be.
So
That's
give me
a good point.
Life is way too short to bet the under, but I am going to take the under
here.
There
you go.
Okay, so we've got 2 overs and an under. Okay. What we got next?
All right. The significance in this one is that in the last 10 heads, tails, coin tosses in the Super Bowl, the winner of that coin toss is 1-9.
Oh my!
In the last 10 Super Bowls.
So you don't want to win the coin toss.
So you do not want to win the coin toss per that.
Gotcha.
But that being said, T-Hump, heads or tails?
Man, I really feel like it's 50-50. Man, I'll go with tails never fails.
Tails never fails.
We're all going that. Me and Ryan, every football game we say it, but tails never fails. Got to stick with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with tails.
I don't trust a heads person.
Nah,
I don't like that at all.
I don't either.
What we got next?
Tails never fails. Okay. We have the first touchdown scorer of the game. So obviously you gotta, be on the right team and you have to pick the right player. Mm-hmm. You first.
First touchdown of the game.
I did famously down and out betting wise. I did nail last year's. They were marked. They scored a touchdown, but then it was ruled marked at the 1. I had a Jalen Hurts tush push for the first one, and that is what happened. Thank God that can't happen this year.
Right.
Man, okay, I'm thinking this through here. I think regardless of what you think, how Purdy may play, you got to figure the first little bit's going to be almost too much. Mm-hmm. And he may settle down or whatever. So I'm going to go Chiefs first score. I'll go Kittle. Kittle. I'll go Kelsey.
Okay,
I like that.
That would fit into the NFL script with Taylor Swift. Very nice. Yeah.
I felt like I had too boring of picks, and we'll see with a couple of these. But this is the one where I did want to have a little bit of fun, and these are what I think would be like kind of good value picks. Rashee Rice at plus 900. I kind of like that.
I like that.
I like
and
that
then
bet.
I like Noah Gray plus 2,800. I think for 2,800, Noah Gray's been very good for them, and that's gonna be my pick.
I don't disagree with those
We're all
two.
picking the Chiefs to score first here.
We are.
So
I just think the Purdy thing, regardless of how he may play, that's going to be big the first few minutes.
I agree.
I am going with the man that is angry at the ground, and that is Isaiah Pacheco.
Nice.
So
who I believe is plus 500 right now.
Thinking they're going to drive down the field, and
angry at the ground. That's great.
Kelsey gets tackled around the 2-3 yard line, and they hand it to Pacheco.
It's funny you say that because I had written Pacheco down, and I thought, let me go with these two.
I'm going to go Pacheco.
It's funny, none of us went McCaffrey. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Who is obviously has the best odds to score a touchdown,
for sure.
but just not the first touchdown.
For sure.
Okay, we've got the winner and the final score of the Super Bowl.
Oh boy, I tell you what, I'm a whole lot better at telling you about the ones that have already happened. Versus
Tyler, what is the spread right this second? What do we got?
The 49ers are a 2-point favorite.
2-point favorite. Okay.
Okay. My first here.
You're first. Yep.
Well, there is no possible way, whether I'm right or wrong, that I would bet against Pat Mahomes.
I get that from my dad on he's not picking the Niners, just like I'm not picking the Eagles or the Aggies.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't root for the Russians in the Cold War. Okay. I was in Olympic sports. I'm not for East Germany. You know, I'm for my teams, my guys, and
Gotcha.
when other teams are in it, I hate them. And so I'm anti-Niner in every facet.
I like that. I like that hatred.
I do. It's trust me, it's big time. It's big time. When we're naming NFL teams, I refuse to acknowledge about 4 teams. I just think the NFL has 28 teams.
I think that's me with the Houston Astros. That's my number one.
No,
I'm like, nah.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Is there a trash can in here?
So we're going Chiefs.
I'm going Chiefs. So we got to score.
Yeah.
Man, it was 38-35 last year. Chiefs, Eagles. You know, so the Chiefs, man. I know those suckers when the lights come on, man. Big games. I'm gonna go. I will go 34-31 Chiefs.
Okay.
I'm in a very similar place as you, which I'm notoriously I don't even try to do final scores. If we're being honest, I don't feel like
tough.
that's something I'm very good at. But I have Chiefs 28-24. I think it's going to be just a little – I mean, these are two very good defenses.
Yeah.
So I'll go just a tiny bit more low scoring, but not low scoring,
Yeah.
28-24.
I think roster to roster, you got to side with the Niners.
No doubt.
But the Chiefs have the ultimate coin in this one, and that's Patrick Mahomes. He is the epitome of been there, done that.
Yep.
And I'm sticking with that. And so you picked a 3-point game.
Yeah.
You picked a 4-point game.
Yep.
I'm going Chiefs 27-24.
Yeah.
27-24. Oh, so me and you are almost the exact same.
I had
yeah.
27-24.
It's got the markings of a great football game. Great coaches. You know, Shanahan, former Texas Longhorn. I did not really fully – I don't know that I really realized this or had forgotten it. Do you know Shanahan was the defensive coordinator
For the 28-3 Super Bowl?
For the Falcons' 28-3 Super Bowl comeback? I did not really put that together.
Yeah, that's something we had mentioned earlier when we came into the postseason. We're like, who has the most to prove or who has the most to gain? And we had mentioned because of that, he's that, and I guess they've been to a Super Bowl before.
Yeah.
This is his chance to really kind of get over that hump. But I like that we're all going Chiefs.
All right, so
and we all have very similar kind of final scores, yeah.
So we all have the Chiefs winning. With that being said, what is the Gatorade shower, Gatorade bath? What color is that Gatorade going to be? Clear, blue, yellow, red, orange, purple, green, whatever. What do you got?
What Super Bowl was the first Gatorade bath?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm not sure.
2 significant things happened that are the first in that Super Bowl. Super Bowl 21, Giants over the Broncos, 39-20. Bill Parcells was the recipient of the first Gatorade bath in a Super Bowl by Harry Carson.
Wow.
It's also the first Super Bowl where I'm going to Disney World.
Oh, no way. Wow.
Phil Sims.
Wow.
I'm going to Disney World.
Phil Sims was the first one
Absolutely.
to Okay,
Phil
nice.
Sims had maybe the greatest day of a quarterback in Super Bowl history. If you look at
Go ahead.
22 out of 25 for that on that day.
Wow.
He was phenomenal.
You want to talk about being surprised that that was the first person that did that? I heard the craziest stat the other day, and I'm taking a complete left turn here, but I found out that Dusty Baker, he told me that Dusty Baker created the high five.
Yes, thank you. That's another great Tory
That's the
trivia
greatest
question.
achievement in human history.
He was the first. He was one of the 2 guys who was the first ever to give a high five in sports history.
There was another weird thing. I'm going to try to
better
find
than
it here in a
sliced
second,
bread.
but there was another weird Dusty Baker.
He was on the on-deck circle when Hank Aaron hit his 715th home run.
Yeah. Dusty Baker, too,
You know
involved
who,
in
you know who caught that? You know who caught that ball?
I do not.
Broke Babe Ruth's record. It was in the bullpen for the Braves. Tom House, future Ranger pitching coach.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
Gatorade color.
Man, I'm old school, dude. I only recognize green because that's
Okay.
the only color they had for the first 20 years.
All right. Yellow, green. Okay. Lime.
Yeah.
I think a
Collar?
very boring answer because both teams are red. I feel
Right.
like that's boring. So I'm going to get even more boring. I'm going to do clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with clear, you get clear Gatorade and water.
Yes.
Speaking of the,
So that's nice.
What are you going with?
I'm because they're both red. I'm not going to go red. Apparently, the Chiefs was orange last year, so I'm gonna go orange again.
Speaking of that, when you're on campus of TCU, because Lauren went there and Ryan did a lot of football camps and stuff, that when you're in the only Gatorade served in TCU is purple Gatorade.
Yep, that is correct.
Yep.
That is correct. Okay, and our final prop pick of the night, Super Bowl MVP. What do you got?
Super Bowl MVP. Well, since Chuck Howley in Super Bowl V, every MVP has come from the winning team. And there have been 57 Super Bowls. There have been 32 quarterbacks win Most Valuable Players. So, I'm loading up, man. I'm loading up. I think that this is possibly Travis Kelce's.
Damn,
I think this is possibly his last game as an NFL player, And I think that they may load up to try to get him the MVP. So that's what I'm going to try.
You're leaving out a fun prop bet, by the way.
Well, we'll do that after
Okay.
this. I'm going to skip Tyler because I had the same thought.
And we hadn't talked about it.
I do think that this is going to be Travis Kelce's last NFL game, especially if they win, for a multitude of reasons. But for that, I would say pretty good bet that if it's close, they're going to give it to him.
Yeah, I think it's
Tyler, who you got? Super Bowl MVP.
My head was kind of in the same place. I'll go. It's boring, but give me Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean that's
never been a tight end win the MVP.
Really.
No.
What's the prop bet that you're talking about?
The prop bet. Come on now.
Taylor Swift something?
Yes. Will.
Oh yeah, we
Will-
saw odds on will Travis Kelce propose to
Oh,
Taylor
wow.
Swift after the Super Bowl.
It is yes is plus 250 and no is minus, or no, yes is plus 190, no is minus 250.
Wow.
Minus 250 feels like that's not happening.
They're not doing that.
I'm
I hate to be the
there's
people
no
doing that
way.
show, but like that's not happening.
No shot.
Now, I think me and Ryan both agreed. He very well, especially if they
Good.
win, probably does retire
Well,
and maybe,
bro-brother aspect and all
go
that
out
stuff.
together. Yeah.
You'd be the first brothers to go in the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
in the same year.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So
Yeah.
That and Travis Kelce has mentioned multiple times. He's considered. I mean, he's been close to retirement to
Yeah.
begin with.
And
So
I
if you
mean-
get a chance to go out on top,
Again, look how many hits is that dude taking, man? His
Yeah.
body's got to be. It's got to hurt. I
then
mean,
you
it's
see
just-
how much he's kind of declined from this year to
Yeah.
or from last year to this year. You can't have another decline
And
like
he
that.
has had a great playoff.
Well, and keep in
True.
mind, they're playing 3 or 4 more games every year
Yep.
than
Yeah.
every other team.
That's true.
It's a
Well,
lot of football.
if you play in 4 Super Bowls, that is the equivalent to almost an extra
another
season.
packed
Yeah,
in
for
there.
sure.
No, it's not the 2021 Sam Houston Bearcats that played in 21 games.
Right.
In one
in
year.
one
In
calendar year.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
right.
ridiculous.
We
Right.
did.
That year alone aged you
Yeah.
A
like
lot.
5 years
I
old.
it's great.
I still get out of bed and I'm like, that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
long year.
Do you know they say college athletes you can add like 10 years to their body? They're
I
essentially
believe it.
10 years older, and that year alone
Oh,
believe
no
it.
doubt.
might be
I
responsible
believe
for
it.
a couple years. Before we move on to any final Super Bowl thoughts, I've got Tiger Shawdowclaw. He's by the phone. He's watching. He's ready to go.
We got him.
So if there's any final
Ladies and
Super Bowl
gentlemen,
thoughts, and again
we got him.
we're gonna do Teletabs here in a minute. If y'all have any other
Let me just
anything you wanna
say.
get
Let
to.
me just say, as a bystander, well done, Tiger Shawdowclaw. Well done.
yeah,
has
he
been
made it.
fun.
He made it a long way.
But yes, Tyler, last thoughts on the Super Bowl. Very excited for this weekend. Another year that I don't get to enjoy the Super Bowl as a true diehard fan, but I do respect the Super Bowl because it is the greatest championship in sports. It's the only championship in professional sports that there's one of. You get 7 chances
absolutely.
in baseball, 7 chances in basketball, 7 chances in hockey.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is a one-all. This is it. And for that, I think that the Super Bowl is truly special.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ryan. We're on the exact same page. It's and it's just so hard to get there.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Before we set this up, I know I do this every week, so if you watch every week, you're tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. But if you haven't been here this entire time for who knows how long now, we've been playing a fun game with an anonymous – anonymous? How am I saying – I'm saying that weird. But anyway,
Anonymous.
viewer. And Mass Singer style, he's been giving us clues every single week as to who he is. He is Tiger Shawdowclaw, and Ryan thinks he's ready to reveal who he is. So I'm getting him on the phone right now, giving him a call. I told him to be by the phone.
It's going to be really embarrassing if it's not.
Nah, you got him.
I almost hope it isn't, just so we can continue
so
this.
we can
But
keep it going.
Tiger Shawdowclaw.
Tiger Shawdowclaw.
Shawdowclaw.
So the moment is finally here. We've been having a ton of fun with you over the last few months, but it might be all coming to an end tonight, man. I'm gonna turn the floor over to Ryan. But one, thanks for hopping on with us. Before we do you have any Super Bowl predictions for us?
And first off, I got a whole list here after Poppa T's masterclass of Super Bowl
Thank you.
history. Let me tell you something. I'm about to make so much money off what this guy said tonight.
Thank you.
That I'm gonna have to end up going to Hopkins County and being sure I give him a cut of it. So
That's awesome.
First off, phenomenal job to Poppa T. And as far as predictions goes, I'm gonna say I don't see how you go against Pat Mahomes.
Amen.
And I think y'all touched on it. I can't go against him. So I got to go Chiefs.
Ryan, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. I wish we could have made a graphic like a Tiger Shawdowclaw like picture on here.
Yeah.
But
Whoosh, something like that.
Yeah.
So I will say I did not act alone in this. We could tell that last week or I guess 2 weeks ago, that we were getting pretty hot on the trail, and so I brought out the big guns. I had my people look into it. Poppa T being one of them. A couple of friends of ours in the Mount Pleasant area. A couple of which that we had as good guesses. You told us. You said you knew all those guys personally. When we got a name, we did research, and then when you go back and you look at the clues, you really did an exceptional job.
Yes, you did.
First off, we nailed that it was Mount Pleasant. It's fun looking at your early clues. It is funny.
The best clue was Chris Woodward.
Yeah.
Man.
So the Saved by the Bell principle. I won't say yet why that's a good clue, but the best clue is the Chris Woodward clue.
Yes, it is.
Because did we lose him?
No.
We'll get him back.
Okay, we'll get Tiger Shawdowclaw back in a second. I've got him in the.
Did we lose him?
Yeah,
It sounds
that was the sound of hanging out.
So do I keep going?
Yes, go ahead and keep. Well, yeah, you can tell the fans anyway.
Yeah.
or
So
the viewers.
So the Chris Woodward clue, and if you don't know who that is, it's old Rangers baseball coach. I don't know if you can see that, but he looks exactly like him,
Yes, he
and I
does.
mean identical. It's Mount Pleasant High School principal Craig Bailey is my final guess on the Tiger Shawdowclaw saga.
I told him let me know when we could call him back. What if he just doesn't respond?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's Craig Bailey, Mount Pleasant High School principal. His connection with me, we think, is he was a sub-varsity coach, like eighth grade,
school.
freshman year, and so he would have played against me. But yeah, when we get him back on the phone, we can talk about it. But yeah, Craig Bailey, Mount Pleasant High School principal. It makes sense. We got the clue in the stands at the
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant game. So yeah, just a lot of
That was
pointing
really
that direction.
fun, and that obviously makes more sense. We got another person in the comment. I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I hate that. Literally, we got him on the phone and we lost him.
I know.
He has no battery left or something.
Yeah.
He gave me a new number to call. Here we go.
Okay,
1 second.
good. We'll call him. Yeah. He did such a great job.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
Tonight we don't have. Oh, I'm already messing here. Here we go. Brian, I need you to help me out here. Just stall for me while we're trying to get
Craig
him back.
Bailey?
Yeah.
Craig Bailey?
Yeah.
Craig
Yeah.
Bailey.
So
Craig Bailey,
the Chris
yep.
Woodward deal, it kind of led us down the baseball path for a while.
Yeah, and that was a good clue because
Yeah.
it sent us one way, but the clue was
Once
just the
you-
fact that he looked like one.
Once you figured out who it was
Yeah.
and you matched it up, man, they could be twins.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Belding, obviously,
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
All right, we got another number he gave us. I'm trying it now.
Okay. I bet his phone died.
May
Probably
have.
what happened.
He's been listening on his phone for the show, watching
probably.
the show.
Hey guys, I'm sorry.
all right.
The fake app that I've been using, I ran out of minutes. So y'all have my official number now, so that's what happened.
So without further ado, Craig Bailey, Mount Pleasant High School principal.
Is he
I'm going
correct?
to say this. I'm going to say this first off because I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I'm not going to confirm or deny for the deniability factor of all the last things I've done over the last, say, six months. But let me tell you all this, and I've been waiting for this. Okay, you guys, I was living the highlight. I mean, I'm out here in Titus County, got my wife with me, got my little girl with me. I'm living the highlight. I mean, great situation. Got my family here. And I'm going to tell you this, when the Ryan Humphreys button hit and it was time for research time, my life was changing quickly. And the reason that happened was I felt like the CIA and the NSA had gone after me. I'm at a basketball game yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to give you the origin story of Tiger Shawdowclaw. I'm at a basketball game yesterday, and somebody who I'm close to, my wife and daughter are looking right at me because they're bought into this since 6 months ago. She's talking about what's the clue going to be. So I'm at a basketball game, and all of a sudden the Tiger Shawdowclaw and my life, to reference Seinfeld here, another Seinfeld reference for those viewers out there watching since day one, worlds are colliding.
Great.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I've never felt like I was hunted, but I felt targeted by the operation of down and out, flipping the script and finding out more information about me. Now, I'm going to say this too. phenomenal job by you guys. This has been fun. Let me give you more on the origin story. Can I give you some origin story?
Well,
absolutely.
I wanted to ask. So I was saying that I think our connection is. Would it have been that maybe you were a middle school coach or a freshman coach when we played Mount Pleasant in football?
Bingo.
Okay.
Came up to you after a game. You wrecked shop. You killed it. We saw the whole Ryan Humphreys Beyond the Glory story emerge. It was unfortunate because we were always on the losing end. But told you great job after the game. Phenomenal job. That was the time that we had met.
Okay.
So I knew you wouldn't remember that, but that was truthfully that's when we met.
Okay. Now I guess our next question would be, where is the Tiger Shawdowclaw? How did you find Down and Out? What kind of sparked this whole just saga of this really fun fun deal that we've enjoyed the last year or so?
Well, I think first of all we got to recognize that Down and Out history is being made tonight. I mean, we've got Poppa T going on a huge Super Bowl masterclass.
Thank you.
Doctoral paper type level of history that I wanted to be sure I reiterate how impressive that was. But two, the origin story was Chad's Media has always been a phenomenal production. All that you guys do. When we're looking for games, we're looking for things to watch or whatever it is, Chad's Media is going to be setting the bar high on all those different things. And so that's kind of how I first got the foray. We had a lot of good basketball battles, a lot of good football battles. So all that stuff, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All that stuff led me to Chad's Media. So flash forward, I've been in a league, and I know everybody's talked about their fantasy history. I'm going to talk a little bit about my fantasy history. So I was in a league that the commissioner looked like he was going to bow out of and stop the league, okay? And so for whatever reason, I saw this Chad's Media Down and Out. I think, okay, I'm going to see what this is. I like Down and Out. That was the Kenny Powers reference, by the way. It had nothing to do with the jet ski. So I see that. The league's going to go down. I'm nervous because I'm a fantasy champion, 2-time champion, now in that league. 3-time champion.
Nice,
congrats. And I took a little bit of Ryan Humphrey's suggestion on Jonathan Taylor. That paid dividends. So, long story short, I'm like, man, I got to get in a league because I'm a fantasy guy. I love that. It's one of my favorite seasons. I mean, my wife talks about how I'm coaching all these guys that don't exist on my team. So,
hey, it's real if you believe it. That's another Seinfeld reference. It's real if you believe it.
You ain't kidding. And Brother Poppa T, I believe it.
Yes.
From week one to the last week. So I got in y'all's league, and thankfully, then the whole point was, do I tell them who I am originally, which I'm not confirmed or denied. I want to bring that up for the record. I'm not confirmed or denied. So do I go full name, do I go fake name, or do I go alias? And then I started thinking, if I'm running a podcast and I'm looking for content, and I'm a creative guy myself, I'm not nearly as creative as Chad, but I'm very creative, I think, at sometimes. How about a little alias action?
It was awesome.
And then from there on, the thing just grew and went wild. So that's the whole origin story of the beginning.
Well, speaking as an outsider, I thought it was absolutely genius.
Yeah, we're very glad that you chose to do that. It's made for a ton of fun. It's made for some really fun content. How did you come up with Tiger Shawdowclaw?
So I needed something. I'm not going to lie. I do what the kids do. Use AI. You got to use AI. So I got AI going, and I told AI, I said, I need to figure out, combine something that would be, mysterious, that revolves Shadow and Tiger, and it hit me with Shadow Tiger Claw, and I thought, you know what?
Perfect.
This is perfect.
That's Mount Pleasant, Tiger.
Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fire.
No, it's perfect. Well, we've even though we're not going to confirm nor deny that this is Craig Bailey of Mount Pleasant, Texas, me and Tyler, we've already promised that whether it be next year's Sulphur Springs Mount Pleasant high school football game, we're going to have you on the show. Maybe halftime of one of our broadcasts.
If we have to get a voice changer or whatever, we'll do it.
We'll make it work.
You know how they do those like informants to the CIA,
right?
Where they shade them out.
We'll just have Chris Woodward on.
Right.
Well, it doesn't have to be Craig Bailey. It can just be Chris Woodward.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking right there.
Was there any certain hints along the way that you're like, this might be the one where they get me?
Chris Woodward was it.
Gotcha.
I look like that guy's twin.
Gotcha.
No doubt.
You do.
Well,
and I'm sitting there when the Rangers hired him, and I'm sitting there thinking, if this guy is great, I mean, my life just got 2 times.
You get to go out in public and people are taking pictures with you.
Oh, that's
and, yeah.
awesome.
Oh,
That's
man,
awesome.
I'm gonna be high living at
great.
Texas Live if this guy was
That is
successful.
greatness.
But that was one. The principal was one. Honestly, there was a few that you guys caught on, and I got to give a certain amount of credit here, and I got to pause for a second to shout out the guy who's not with us, Corey. I know you're watching tonight. We know why you're not there. I've had private conversation with you. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to put it out on YouTube world, but I want to tell you something. Corey, great job. This is for you. I appreciate what Corey did, keeping this going just like you guys did.
Yeah.
But that's basically those hints that I thought were probably good. The pine trees were nothing. The Kenny Powers things, I like the show.
Mm-hmm.
So just general stuff like that.
It just also dawned on me, down and out, eastbound and out. It's like similar wording. I don't know if there's anything there, but I gotta say, I've said it multiple times, but I love your taste and stuff between Seinfeld and like a lot of Jay-Z references. I posted something the other day. I don't remember. It's like maybe a '90s R&B song that you liked. Like I love the taste and stuff, man.
Well, Tiger Shawdowclaw has always been a man of many different tastes, and he's somebody that is very cultured. There's
He's an
not
Arkansas
one single
Razorback
culture that ties him down. Hey, and I'm going to say this, guys, and I made that quote, I think, earlier. I had a hint on there. Exactly right. I can't tell you. There's no need to even talk about us on the podcast. We're so pathetic in terms of the Razorbacks. I mean, I will claim them because I got a degree from there, but I'm going to tell you, tough living over here if you're an Arkansas Razorback fan.
Hey, just go watch film of the 40 Minutes of Hell, Nolan Richardson.
And that's why I'm glad Poppa T's on the podcast tonight.
Hey, it is baseball season, so that's good in Arkansas's world. That's fun.
Colby Suggs,
Sulphur
Springs Wildcat.
Yeah.
Part of the original Omaha Hogs, I believe.
Yeah, he was part of the Omaha.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's where I talked to a buddy of mine at the game yesterday. We had a big game, and I talked to him, and I said, man, when are we going to be able to wear our hog gear and not have to hear stuff from people who want to hate on us? He said, well, it's baseball season. I said, amen.
Amen, brother.
That's exactly what I felt like.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm a huge LSU fan, and when I was playing at Henderson State, obviously everyone in Arkansas is a huge Arkansas fan,
Sure.
And that was a year 2014, I believe. Arkansas beats LSU that year. Hadn't beat them in a minute, and I had a few teammates that every time I would go to their house after practice, they had DVR'd it and they would have it ready to go, and they would make me sit there and rewatch it. So that'll make you feel a little bit better.
1964 National Championship, Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, Frank Broyles, Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hey, we've been living on that for a long time, brother. We've been living on that a long time.
Tiger Shawdowclaw, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. Hopefully you keep it going. Hopefully you keep popping in with us. We would very much miss you if you went away. So we're hoping you'll stick around with us.
Appreciate you, man. It's been a lot of fun. Awesome. Obviously, I'm grateful for the nice things that you've said about my playing career. But yeah, I hope we can formally meet sometime in the near future.
I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. Big Muddy Jake's guy.
Okay.
Big Corner Grub House guy.
Sweet.
Anytime y'all wanna talk sports, bring up old Rangers history, I'm there. I
Perfect.
appreciate you guys
Sweet.
and all you do. And good spirited fun that my wife would call total nonsense. And
Total nonsense.
Perfect.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
Love it. Thank you, man.
appreciate y'all. See y'all, boys.
See you, buddy.
What a great guy.
That was awesome.
So
What a great guy.
I love that we also have the entire Shadowclaw family being a part of it.
Right. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. His wife's asking him what the clue is this week. Yeah.
I do love that. So we said we're going to have another call. We're going to do Telling Tebs, which is a fun segment we've been doing. He said he's ready by the phone, and I know he would have wanted to get in on all the props. And he's got a fun I'll let him tell it here in a second as long as he answers the phone. Tebs.
Always going to answer for you.
What's going on, buddy? Tough follow to follow Tiger Shawdowclaw, but we've got this week's edition of Telling Tebs, and I know that you have a fun thing that's been in the works for a long time that you want to share with us. So go ahead, floor is yours.
Okay, so I want to start with just the same thing that everybody else has started with is Poppa T. That is, you just have a beautiful football mind.
Ah,
And
well.
all of us are impressed, and all of
Thank
us
you.
are we want to have that kind of mind. Like,
Well,
we all love we love football and we love the Cowboys and the Super Bowl and all of that much that you do. So we want to have that.
Thank you. The key is to not listen to anybody else. Like if your wife's telling you something, you don't really have room for that in your brain. You got to focus on the stuff that matters.
I love that the Humphreys family comes on this show once a week and just tries to get themselves in trouble with their significant others.
Well, now Ryan, I think my wife, she understands.
She gets
it
at
knows what
this
she
point.
got.
Yeah,
she knows what
fair.
she got into.
That's fair. Taz, what you got for us?
All right, so I want to start off with before the playoffs started, I had put in a future of Chiefs plus 900 to win the Super Bowl. So
wow, great bet.
I have that still at play, and so
That's a good bet.
obviously I'll start with I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm not going to do a money line bet or a spread bet, and I'm not hedging.
I was going to ask, do you hedge? Do you double down? What do you do?
I'm not hedging.
Okay.
I'm going straight Chiefs. That's the team I would root for, so that's what I'm going with. I'm going to agree with Ryan that I'm also taking tails. I'm going tails at basically even money. I'm also going to agree with both the Humphreys. George Kittle to score. I think he's
George Kittle or Travis Kelce?
Travis Kelce or George Kittle?
I'm taking George Kittle.
Okay, they had Kelce.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm taking George Kittle to score at some point in this game at plus 185.
Okay.
I do think Travis Kelce does score, and I'll say the Travis Kelce thing for a second. For one of the fun ones, I think that Usher's first song is going to be OMG.
So, dude, that's the popular pick. And I actually saw someone the other day that, quote unquote, has a insider that said it's not going to be that. But that would be a great way to start it.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be, that's too big.
I have no proof of this, obviously, but I would like to brag. I did get last year's right. I picked Rihanna's opening song. It's better have my money, basically. I picked that, so I'm gonna go with OMG. I think it's a nice welcome opener for the Super Bowl. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Nice.
And then the last one I didn't do a whole lot of ones. I only picked ones that I like the odds that I think can win. I did MVP. I'm going to take two, though. This is one where I'm kind of hedging. I'm going to take one on each side. And I'm going to take CMC on the 49ers side as plus money. And then that's also where I am going to take Travis Kelce because sometimes football does write the script. They did it with Peyton Manning. They did it with Ray Lewis. Their last years, they won the Super Bowl. I would not be surprised if Travis Kelce had a 2-touchdown game and ended up winning Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Sebs, any final thoughts before we get you out of here, buddy?
No, those are my prop bets. Hey, take what you want, but your boy's been hot a little bit.
You have been. We love to see it. Especially you had that one bad week that we had to unfortunately make fun of you for. But outside of that, you've been very good. So.
I agree, and I'll take it.
Dude, I also love the plus 900 pick, so heck yeah, man. Congrats on that. Good luck on it, and thanks for calling
Appreciate
in, buddy.
it, Debs.
Thanks, fellas.
See you, man. I will say I wanted to talk just for a second. I know y'all don't care at all about this, but as far as halftime shows go, so my very first, y'all know I'm very nerdy about music. The very first album I ever bought with my own money that I saved and earned was Usher's Confessions. So big artist in my lifetime. I'm excited for that. Is there anyone that y'all haven't seen that you would like to see halftime-wise? I know y'all don't really care about that. Much more interested in just the football of it all. But
you mean just ever?
Someone you haven't seen that you are I would love to see them be the halftime.
I'm surprised Drake hasn't at this point.
I was thinking that the other day. I can't believe it hasn't been Drake.
David Allen Cole.
Ooh, the odds on that are very high.
Hank Williams Jr., David Allen Cole.
That'd be cool.
So in
Johnny Cash.
Oh God rest his soul. The big halftime, along with the Super Bowl history stuff. Super Bowl II, the halftime show was a hot air balloon that did not go up. That landed in the stands.
Oh no!
Yes,
we've come a long way.
That's come a long way since that. And probably in my lifetime, old school. I'm an old guy, whatever. The greatest halftime. Really, it was a pregame. Was Whitney Houston?
Yeah.
America had just the Desert Storm, was storming out the Iraqi war, and there was just a lot of tension in the country. George Bush Sr. just there was a lot of patriotism, but there was a lot of nervousness in the country. And Whitney Houston, just the right, God kind of aligned the stars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it's arguable the greatest national anthem of all time, and a lot of that had to do with the feeling of America at the time. But she was phenomenal, great. I always remember that.
I would say another one would be Prince.
Prince.
And it starts raining.
Yeah,
as
that's
he's
fire.
doing Purple Rain.
Yes,
fire.
yes, absolutely.
As y'all can guess, and I think everyone watching is aware as well, without ever saying it, we stand Whitney Houston over here. But I didn't realize it was not a desirable gig until the Michael Jackson one, and he just knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
And then it became this huge spectacle.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's correct. You're absolutely right. The early Super Bowls a lot of them were college bands.
oh, really?
I think I might be wrong about this, but I think maybe Grambling was the first Super Bowl.
That's
be a good
super
one.
cool.
The
That is super cool.
which obviously they're extremely talented and still are today, but I think that was kind of that's the area that they were in the early halftime shows.
A couple non-football things I wanted to get to. If y'all have any other football stuff, we got just a few minutes left. Anything y'all wanted to get to? If not,
No.
I did have a couple non-football things. Got to talk Texas Rangers every chance we get.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming off of Super Bowl week, coming off a World Series, Baseball America put out their farm system rankings this past week. Something that's beautiful about it, number 29, the Houston Astros.
Love it.
So love to see
Love
that.
it.
They're
Love
on
that.
I said on one of the very first episodes of this show, their reign is over and it's
Yes.
not coming back. And obviously, they still make it to the ALCS. They still win the West, but we took them down. They have
Yes.
no future to speak of. But the Rangers win the World Series and are number 3 overall in the
Unbelievable.
farm system.
But hey,
rankings.
we sold our future. I mean,
Yeah,
that was our one World Series.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it. This is it.
yeah. Let's give Jose Altuve $17 billion.
I can't
Ridiculous.
stand that dude.
I can't either.
On a related note, wildly disrespectful. So if you go back to March 29th, 2023, right before the season started,
Yeah.
the Fangraph playoff odds, the Rangers had a 12% chance to win the division, a 37% chance to make the playoffs, and just a 2% chance to win the World Series. Somehow today, a 9% chance to win the division, so that's 3% lower. Only a 34% chance to make the playoffs, also 3% lower, and only a 1.3% chance to win the World Series. That's the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard in my life.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
That is wild.
I know
And
we're
it's not like
biased.
we lost anybody.
Right. So you do have Scherzer and DeGrom
I
that are
get it.
hurt to start
I
the
get
season,
it.
but other than that,
But how many wins did those guys account for?
Not many. I mean, DeGrom, I think
was
three, maybe.
I think. Scherzer didn't do anything in the playoffs of
Yeah.
significance.
Our
DeGrom literally
bullpen-
wasn't there in the playoffs.
You've got a full season of Evan Carter.
Yep.
You're going to have
probably
you're
Wyatt
probably
Langford.
going to have Wyatt Langford, who's going to be the rookie of the year.
Yeah.
And you think Josh Young's going to be better this year than last year?
Hopefully he'll be healthier. Yeah. I
Corey
mean,
Seager, you didn't get the full year. Josh Young, you didn't get the full year.
Oh,
That's
that's
silly.
ridiculous.
and again, I think they're going to continue to. I mean, you have the number 3 farm system,
Yep.
and you're at a point now where not just farm guys like Duran and even maybe Leody Taveras. You might end up finding yourselves moving one of them. There's only so many outfield spots.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bombi's going to be one of them. Carter's going to be one of them. Wyatt Langford. So I mean, there's already
Keep in
legit
mind-
major league talent you have to trade.
Keep in mind, we had a historically bad bullpen, historically blown
Who
loss,
somehow pulled it together for
and,
the postseason.
and we
but-
won the World Series. Now Bruce Bochy is the dude. He's the
100%.
guy. But you're not gonna. The odds of you repeating having a historically bad blown save record, you're not gonna do that again.
Right. Which fortunately you have gone out and you've gotten David
Yeah,
Robertson,
yeah,
Kirby
yeah.
Yates. You've done the things you needed to do, and I don't think they're done. Maybe not. Maybe
agree.
between now and opening day, but I think they're going to
I think
add
we'll
more
get
bullpen.
Jordan.
What about Montgomery?
I
We
think
gonna
we'll
get him?
Montgomery.
I very much hope so. They finally got the TV rights figured out and stuff, so there's the money there.
I think it's a good sign he hasn't gone somewhere.
yes, agreed. I think if he wanted to be somewhere
Yeah.
else, he would be somewhere else by now.
Yeah.
Ryan, anything else? You
My
had said something
two-
basketball related. I
Yeah,
believe.
my 2 non-football related comments. Number 1 being that the People's Open starts tomorrow.
a great tournament.
Waste management. If you've never watched golf, I know we said that the Masters would be the cool one to watch. This one's a really fun one to watch. The 16th hole is just absolute pandemonium.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's fun.
I pray that we see a hole in one because it gets really rowdy. But my random thought of the day. It's been weighing heavy on me since Luka scored 73 a couple weeks ago, or a week ago maybe.
On the best true shooting percentage of all time. It's
Yep.
quite
Wow.
literally arguably the greatest single game of all time.
Well, it's funny you say that.
That's all. Yeah.
I want to let my stance be known on
Careful.
this. I do not think that Wilt Chamberlain had a 100-point game. I think that's fake.
Lord.
So as the person of this
I think
group,
that's totally fake.
as the
No,
person of this
that's
group who's
wrong.
chronically on Twitter, I agree with you. Where's the
It's-
film of this game?
How is there no
March-
footage?
March the
There's
2nd.
footage of. I saw a video of
1962. They played in
We've
Hershey.
seen Babe Ruth.
No.
there's Babe Ruth batting practice
Guys,
footage. I saw a
guys,
video of a day
guys.
of a Nazi soldier from
Guys.
World War I or something. They had a
Guys.
video of it, and they're
So-
like,
no
we don't
proof
have
of
we have
Wilt
no
Chamberlain's
proof.
100-point game, though?
All right, grassy knoll boys.
There's video of that.
There's video of that.
It played in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was a special deal to try to get fans. It was a unique situation. They back then they barnstormed a lot like old baseball teams, and they would go to random small cities to play the game.
Gotcha.
Interesting fact about that game, which did happen: the game did not finish.
So once he got to
Will
100,
scored
there was
100.
like,
There were seconds left. There were still a few seconds
Gotcha.
left, and they just ended the game. And another cool thing about that game, back then, obviously, most of the travel was buses and stuff like that. Wilt Chamberlain lived in New York City at the time. The Philadelphia Warriors were off the next few days. He rode back to New York City with the Knicks.
Oh, wow.
In a car, yeah. So he did not go home with his team that night.
So I will say,
of course, it happened.
For what it's worth, recently Carmelo Anthony was on a podcast, and he claims that someone he knows well, an older gentleman, was at the game and
Yeah,
said
of
like
course
he was a Knicks fan. He's unfortunately lived with this his whole life, but once you bring me footage of this game,
It happened.
We'll see.
It happened at the Sulphur Springs Middle School gym. No, there was no film there.
they do have the picture, but
Yes,
I don't
of
know.
course he did.
I think Kobe Bryant has a scoring record, and I think
81.
Luka is second.
I think obviously I've made it clear.
Did-
I think Wilt Chamberlain's.
Did we land
those
on the
are
moon?
Null and void.
Did we land on the moon, right?
Yes, and there's
course we did.
and
Of
there's
course we
video of that.
Yeah,
There's
true.
literally video
Good point.
of us on the moon
Okay. Okay.
and a phone call.
Okay. Here we go. Did the
We're
Alamo?
making phone calls from the moon.
Did the Alamo happen?
Video wasn't invented.
Neither was in Hershey, Pennsylvania, 1962.
No.
Of course, it
I
did.
don't know.
I don't know. I'm not convinced it happened.
Yes, it did. 100 points.
I will say this though. I think even if it happened, I think that's at a time where we have to consider Kobe and Luka as the two greatest single game performances.
Yeah. Well, again,
It's almost like a different, you know.
Other than Bill Russell, who was not in that game, Wilt Chamberlain was a different.
Yeah.
He was a generation ahead of everyone else physically, unlike today's game.
Can make phone calls from the moon.
Yes.
It didn't happen. And if it did happen, it was fake. And it was just a ploy to get popularity in the NBA.
Well, it didn't work.
Anything else before we get out of here, y'all?
Not till Magic and Larry came along.
Poppa T, this was
Hey,
a blast.
thank you.
Everyone
That's
obviously
great
seemed to
episode.
love it.
Great
Thanks for
episode.
coming out.
Well,
And
I'm honored to be here.
hopefully we'll be
I love
getting you
what
back on
yeah,
here.
love what you guys do, man. You guys are awesome.
On behalf of everyone here, Corey Hankins obviously can't be here tonight. He'll be back for the next episode. On behalf of Ryan Humphreys, Poppa T, I'm Tyler Lennon. Love you.